So welcome everyone here in the room and everyone watching from home. As you probably know, there'll be 50 or 60 people participating from home on this course. But tonight there's somewhere between several hundred and 1,000 watching the live feed. We decided that since we're going to be broadcasting it anyway, why not share it with as many people as possible? Not that the world couldn't use a little extra love at the moment. So, before I get into describing the course and taking us through the course, as a way of starting the course, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a group release for the world. With hurricanes and fires and the threat of war and political uncertainty and everything else that's going on across the planet. Let's start by sending some loving energy towards all of that so that we can embrace it in love. So let's start there, and then we'll move forward from there. So in this moment, could you just simply allow what is to be? And be? And be. And could you just simply be what you are? And be what you are. And be what you are. And if we just would allow ourselves to be what we are, and if we just allowed what is to be as it is, that it's actually more than enough. Yet for most of us, we don't let ourselves be. And we don't allow others to be as well. And our world reflects that. Both our inner world and the supposedly external world, as though they're apart or different. Yet what you already are is all allowing, all welcoming, all loving. I'm not referring to your body or your mind. I'm referring to that which is aware of body, mind, and world. And you are already that. And now allow yourself to focus on the body-mind world, including anything that's happening on the planet right now that's causing any inner disturbance. And who knows? Either the inner disturbance comes first, or the outer disturbance comes first. Or maybe they're the same. So could you just welcome any sense of inner disturbance when you focus on the body-mind world? And could you welcome that disturbance? Could you just let it be here? And then could you welcome too any wanting to fix it, change it, control it, do anything with or about it? And then could you welcome as well any sense that that's attached to anyone or anything? Any sense that that's personal about you or who you are? Or any sense it's about them and who they are? And then as best you can, just for now, could you set that any remaining inner disturbance free? Could you let it go? Could you allow it to unravel? And then whatever it was that appeared to cause some inner disturbance, could you just hold it in the love that you are? Could you let the love that you are wash over and through whatever it was you were focusing on? And then allow yourself to focus on that same thing or anything else about the body-mind world, including anything that's happening on the planet as a whole that you don't like, that you wish to change, that feels disturbed to you. And could you just welcome that? Let it be here. And could you welcome too any wanting to fix it, change it, control it, understand it, do something with or about it. And by the way, I'm not saying you shouldn't take action. The more you let go, the more you'll be part of the solution, whether or not you take any active part in solving any apparent problem. So that body, mind may act and it may not. But as you let go, you're tipping the scales towards harmony, towards peace, towards love. And then could you welcome as well any sense that that's attached to anyone or anything? Any sense that that's personal about you or who you are? Any sense of identity? Could you just allow that? And then as best you can, just for now, could you set the disturbance free? Could you allow it to unravel? And notice that as you let the inner disturbance go, your perception of the outer disturbance starts to shift. It starts to right itself. You start to see solutions where before you only saw problems. And then could you just simply allow yourself to shine the love that you are into and through whatever remaining problem or disturbance appears to be there? Could you shower the body-mind world in love? And could you do that even more? Could you shower the body, mind, and world in love? Could you even love it because it is the way it is? Not so it will change. But could you just love what is as it is as best you can? The more you hold the projection in love, the more all is supported. All is healed. All is righted. So whether you take action or not, you're aligning yourself with the solution. And then allow yourself to picture the entire planet. See it from above, as though you're in a spaceship, looking down at our lovely planet. Or as though you could just hold the whole thing in your hands. And could you just let the love or the light that you are shine on the entire planet? And could you do that even more? Could you allow the love and the light that you are to shower the planet in love and light and grace? And could you just take the planet and let it nestle in your heart? And just, again, shower the planet with the love and the light and the grace that you are. Okay, great. So, this week we're going to be exploring love. And there's so much confusion. By the way, James, it's a little boomy. I think you need to turn the bass down a little if you want to keep it that loud. Yeah, that's better. So, there's just a lot of misconception around love. Some people think love is you give me approval and I'll give you approval. We actually look at love as though it's a barter. Does that need to be lighter?
It helps.
It helps? Okay. Then it may help people see, so I'll go along with it. But after a while, it gets hard on the eyes. So if I start looking like this, you might have to turn it down. But for now, it's fine. So at any rate, what you'll find as we explore love this week is many things. First off, I'll be sharing what I've discovered about love over the 40 plus years of doing this work. Lester used to say that every feeling except love is a non-love feeling. So therefore it's various forms of hate. And I soften it a little. The way I express it is that all feelings except love are simply love in disguise. Because what you can discover is that no matter how angry you are at someone, no matter how upset you are, no matter how forlorn you are, no matter how disjointed you feel from the love that you are, just a few releases and you're back in touch with it. A few more releases and you feel like you've never left. Because love, in my experience, is part of our basic nature. It's one of the ways you can describe everything you experience. This entire universe and everyone and everything in it is a manifestation of love. Except we don't usually see it that way. We look at life on the surface, from the perspective that there's a me over here and a you over there. And the more we feel that way, the less we feel love. The more we feel isolated, the more we feel threatened, the more we feel like we need to get love from all those supposed others. And if you really pay attention this week, you'll start to notice that the less you're trying to get it from that projection called the world, the more you are it. I'm not saying you're going to get more love. You can't get any more than you already have. In my experience, you are beyond infinite love. Infinite love is too limiting. Because infinite is still a concept. And the love that you are is beyond all conceptual frameworks. If you have a framework around it, that's a limitation. At the same time, we're going to be using language. And what you'll find is that when we talk about something like love, or like beingness, or like the truth of who you are, all words are inadequate. Because in my experience, language is symbols representing concepts about that which never really was. That's not how most people see language. Most people take language at face value. They think that the mind is a way to describe truth. But the mind can't touch truth. Yet the mind wouldn't be here without it, without truth, without love, without that which you are. And so I'll be using words this whole week that are designed to help you start to have a very different experience of living, a very different experience of loving, a very different experience of what love is. And this is not going to be a lecture. This is going to be very interactive the entire week. Because I could talk about love for a long time. And I will talk about it this week, throughout the entire week. In fact, it's one of my favorite topics. So if you've been to retreats before, you've probably noticed that I talk about love, I don't know, several times an hour. And sometimes it gets overwhelming because I'll talk about it once a minute. But what's nice is I gave myself permission this course to talk about it even more often. Because what we're going to be doing is uncovering the true power of love. It's something most of us have only glimpsed, only tasted. If you think about the most love you've ever experienced in this life, even with all you're releasing so far, that's not even 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of 1%. It's just a tiny inkling of what's possible. Because as you take the boundaries away from love, it dissolves all that appears to be a problem. So love is the cohesive force of the universe, but love is also the universal solvent. Leslie used to do a technique called square all with love. And what that is very simple. Because love is what's behind every emotion, or every feeling is love in disguise, you can take any feeling, no matter what you're experiencing, and turn it into love. You're just taking the disguise off. And when you do that, the limitation that appeared to be there a moment ago is gone, because it never really was. A big release that I had years ago. By the way, it sounds like, what is that I'm hearing in the back? What's that? Was that your computer? Oh, it's there. Oh. Yes, that the live stream is delayed by a few seconds. And Annie had the sound turned up. I just heard someone mumbling in the back of the room. I didn't realize it was this voice in delay. That makes sense. Good. So, and by the way, love, when you laugh, you start to feel more of the love that you are. It just bubbles through. And one of my intents for this week is for all of us to have a lot of fun. Whether you're participating here in the room or you're participating from home, I hope you have a lot of fun this week. Because a lot of people, when they hear the word love, they go, oh, it's very heavy and meaningful and important. And maybe some of the stuff I've said so far may have sounded that way. I apologize. It isn't. Heaviness and meaning and importance all come from mind. Love doesn't know anything about that, nor does it care. Because one of the qualities of love is absolute acceptance of what is. You don't have to make yourself accept. It's just natural. And everyone in this room and everyone listening at home has had that experience, where at one moment you were really lost in a story or a drama or a trauma. And all of a sudden, it's almost like you're watching. You're no longer lost in the struggle. And in that watching, there's this total acceptance. There's this total allowing for what is. And what that is just a little taste of what's natural. It is completely natural to allow what is to be as it is. What we usually do as human beings is completely unnatural. That's why we're exhausted at the end of the day. Because we're so busy trying to hold it all together. We're so busy trying to get love from everybody else. You know, we don't want to burp or fart or make a mistake or look at someone the wrong way or have them, God forbid, look at us the wrong way, and all these other things that keep us tied up in knots. And it's all unnecessary. Completely unnecessary, because you don't need anyone else's approval to be love. You don't need anything to be the love that you already are. Nothing at all. And I'm going to repeat a lot of things over and over and over again this week. And then The reason I'm going to repeat it from many different perspectives is because most of us have convinced ourselves that love is hard work, that love has to be earned, that love has to be bought, that love can be lost. So many misconceptions. But as those fall away, you'll discover that you can't gain love or lose love. Because you are love. And the more you recognize that, the more it changes the way you experience everything about life. So are you in the right room? Are you all listening to the right recording? Or are you on the right screen on your computer or with the live feed? I hope so. Because, by the way, if you don't want to be free of suffering and you don't want to have an exquisitely joyous, boundless existence filled with love every moment, stop watching. Don't stay here. Because the main thing that you'll be threatened with this week is the loss of suffering. And that might seem silly, but what I've found is that in the beginning, when people start to recognize that they can be free of suffering, what we tend to do is we fight against that. We go, no, I don't think I'm ready. I haven't really earned it. I'm a bad person. I'm not allowed. When I did this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, that doomed me to everything that's happened since then, and there's no way to change that. And we tell ourselves all sorts of crap like that. And we buy it. The mind is constantly trying to sell us crap. It's worse than the web. Because the main thing the mind is trying to sell us all the time is, you can't have that. You are bad. You need to suffer. And let me explain why. And it can be very convincing. Because what it does is it takes your past experiences and it puts a blanket over them so they look like something else. You cover, first off, you are not your past experiences. If you can remember it, that's not you. Period. Now that's different than the way most of us think of ourselves. We think of ourselves as a series of events that we think make up our persona, who we are. But if you can describe it, if you can feel it, if you can remember it, that's not who you are. It's just caca. The mind is giving you to make itself seem important, make itself seem meaningful, make itself seem significant. Because the truth is that the more you let go, except when it comes to technical skills. I mean, if you're doing an equation, you need to know what all the steps are. But to live life, the less you know, the better off you are. And again, that's backwards. Well, a lot of us think that I need all the wisdom I gained from all my past experiences in order to live life effectively right now. But most of what we carry from our past experiences is just another increment of limitation. If you watch young children before 2, there's there's very little sense of separation between them and everyone else. That's why we love to be around them. Because a little or a lot, we see the world through their eyes. And what happens as we mature into adulthood is we contract more and more and more until we think we're just this. We think we're just a body and a mind in a hostile world. And the more we feel that way, the more it becomes a self-reinforcing loop. And so every experience we collect in order to build that artificial sense of a me that's separate from you. And as long as you're building, you're obstructing. The more you let go of all those things you've built, the more you respond perfectly in this moment. My memory has gotten worse the more I've released. But at the same time, if I need to know something, I'll be releasing with someone who I haven't seen in 20 years. And as I'm working with them, the last thing they worked on 20 years ago will come to me if I need to know it. Actually, it even works in 30 and 40-year increments since I've been doing this since 1976. And the same thing is true in life. If I try to force myself to remember something, it doesn't work. But if I need to know something, it's always right there. And what happens is the more you stop trying to carry your knowledge around with you, the more you open yourself to all knowingness. Not just your own personal past experience, which is very limited, but all knowingness. That's on a completely different level. And this world is really just knowingness. By the way, knowingness is also another synonym for love. There are a lot of them, and we'll be talking about that throughout the week. So, what you'll find is if you're open to it, you can discover all sorts of things about love that you never knew before. And you'll probably forget them. And that's okay. Because what happens is the more you uncover love, the more you live as love, the less held back you are by all your conceptual frameworks, by all those things that you think you need to have, be, or do first before you can love. And it's fun. It's really a lot of fun. So does that sound good so far? Good. So by the way, is there any questions about anything I've said so far? Either from anyone in the room or anyone at home? They're not asking questions yet? Okay, good. So let's do an exercise. I think what we should do tonight, rather than talk about love the whole night, let's start helping you experience it directly. So, which one should we do first? I think I'll do another group release first. Thanks for bringing these, Annie. They're lovely. So part of where we get stuck with love is we have a lot of beliefs about it. We have a lot of ideas about it. And when we have beliefs or ideas about something, we're not experiencing it directly. We're experiencing our beliefs about it, our ideas about it, but not the thing itself. As you let go in general, and especially as you let go into love, what you discover is that no belief is necessary in order for you to be that which you already are. So let's release some of our beliefs about love. So allow yourself to just simply be what you are. And be what you are. And be what you are. And then allow yourself to review your life and check to see what it is that you believe about love. You might believe that you don't deserve it. You might believe that you need to get it. You might believe that it's outside of yourself. We have all sorts of beliefs about it. But pick one of your favorite beliefs about love. And could you allow yourself to just simply welcome that belief? Let it be here. And then welcome too any wanting to defend that belief, justify that belief, explain that belief, prove or disprove that belief. Any wanting to do anything with or about it. And then could you welcome too any sense that that belief is personal about you or who you are. And then as best you can, just for now, could you let go of wanting to believe that about love? And then could you allow love to reveal itself to itself? could you just simply open to the love that you are? And focus on that same belief or any other belief that you have about love. That one. And could you just simply welcome that belief? Let it be here. And then could you welcome any wanting approval, control, security, separation, or oneness that's coming from that belief? Any wanting to do anything with or about that belief? And then could you welcome as well any sense that that belief is personal, is about you or who you are? Any sense that it's attached to anyone or anything? And then as best you can, just for now, could you let go of wanting to believe that again? And then could you allow love to reveal itself to itself? Could you open yourself to the love that you are? And let's do that one more time. Allow yourself to focus on that same belief or any other belief you have about love. And could you just simply welcome that belief? Let it be here. And then could you welcome any wanting to push it away or hold it close? Any wanting to make it real? Any wanting to understand it? Any wanting to do anything with or about that belief? And then could you welcome as well any sense that that belief is attached to anyone or anything? Any sense that that's personal, about you or who you are, that it's your belief. That there is a you who believes that. Could you just welcome that? And then as best you can, just for now, Could you let go of wanting to believe that again? And then could you just allow love to reveal itself to itself? Could you just open fully to being the love that you are? And could you allow yourself to be love? And be love. And be love. And be yourself. The love that you are. Okay, good. So, we covered a little bit, and before we move on to more material, I just want to open the floor to questions, sharing, and assistance. And both from those of you at home and those of you here. So who has something they'd like to ask, share, or get assistance with? From anything we've covered so far or about the method in general? Are you afraid to raise your hand? Yes, you're first. You'll be after. You want to grab the mic? You want to pass her the mic? Yes.
I had decided I wasn't going to say anything the whole week for fear of embarrassing myself. But then
Well, that lasted an hour.
well, it's all Kim's fault because she
It's
arrived.
Kim's fault. Oh, good. She didn't even know it was her fault.
Yeah, she knows it's her fault.
Oh.
She was listening to Peer-to-Peer, and I had a conversation with you, and she said, wow, it was really nice to hear what you had to say, and he had to say, and I thought, well, maybe it's just sounding stupid to me, and maybe it makes sense to other people. It's helpful. She seemed to think it was. So my question is about, I guess it was a couple of years ago, you had a holiday retreat, and it was Los Obligados. That's incidental to one of the questions
I think we started here and then ended up there.
Right, exactly. Because
We had a snowstorm. Yes.
A woman by the name of Carol approached you during the break, and she said, so if I have a situation, what's the fastest way to have resolution about it? And what she said you said to her was,
We'll see what okay.
Just turn, whatever the feeling is, just turn it to love.
Yes.
Just change it to love. And she was so struck by that. She shared that with a group of us.
Uh-huh.
And it really meant a lot to me, too. And I've just turned that over
Yes.
a lot. It seems like it's a really cool shortcut.
Yes.
And so I guess I would love if you have any, since this is all about love, if you have any words of clarification about how that could be done?
Sure. I'm rarely at a loss for words, except when I am. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of a sentence and all the words are gone. But so, before there even was a Sedona method, one of the techniques that Lester gave to people was squaring all with love. And that's basically all it is you take whatever emotion you're experiencing and you simply choose to turn it into love. And it sounds ridiculously simple, and it seems like it's not even possible when you just think about it. But in practice, it's incredibly simple. You don't have to let anything go. You don't have to change the way you perceive anything. All you need to do is simply change the feeling into love. And what happens when you do that is you can just feel it dissolve. And what's left is the love that was already there. So let me do that with the whole group. We'll do a little squaring all with love. Again, does everyone have a workbook? And those of you who participate from home, you've got a PDF of the workbook. Before I forget, I would recommend that over the first couple of days you read the workbook. And I'll refer to it occasionally. It's more for reference than it is something I follow exactly. I don't necessarily do anything in any particular order. And I don't even remember if I put square all with love in there. I only put some of the stuff we'll be doing in the workbook. I knew a lot of it would happen spontaneously just because that is the focus of this week. Whenever we do a retreat, there's always several focuses for me. One is for everyone who's participating here and participating from home to have whatever it is they'd like. I don't have any preference. More money, better relationships, better health, better sex. I don't care. Profound self-realization and everything in between. And so that's one intention. The other intention is to help you to let go of your suffering. And then the thing we add when we have a focus, like we do this retreat, the focus is on love. So the other intent is to just allow whatever it is that this group needs to hear, both the group here live and the group that are participating from home needs to hear, in order to gain clarity on being the love that they are. And so I didn't worry about having everything in the workbook in advance, because some of it I'll refer to and some of it I won't. But I would recommend that if you over the first few days, read the workbook, because there's a lot of good material in there, and some of it we'll cover and some of it we won't. So let's do some squaring all with love. And I like sitting down when I do group releases. As you've noticed, I'll probably do that most of the time this week. When I do a group release, I'll sit, because I spend most of the time standing. So in this moment, just allow yourself to focus on any feeling that you have in your life that feels like it isn't love. It could be an apathy feeling, a grief feeling, a lust feeling, an anger feeling, a pride feeling. It could be a courageous feeling. It could be an acceptance feeling, but acceptance is love, so don't worry about those. It could even be peace, but peace is also another form of love. So allow yourself to just simply welcome that feeling. Let it be here. And then as best you can, just for now, could you change it to love? You actually can do that. If you're wondering how to do it, stop. You can't do it with your head. A way to do it, if you're struggling at all, is just look through the disguise. Say it's pretending to be sadness or anger or fear. Look through that to the love that's right underneath. And what happens is it changes to love. And now allow yourself to focus on that same feeling or any other feeling that you have that appears to be different than love itself. And could you just simply change it to love? I know it seems too simple, but everything about the method seems too simple. This is no exception. So in this moment, could you just simply change the feeling to love? It's just a choice. And if you're struggling with that, allow yourself to look through the disguise. And notice what's actually here. Look through the label you've put on it to the love that's underneath. And again, focus on that same feeling, or any other feeling that seems to be less than love. And could you just simply change it to love? Or if you'd like, could you just let love dissolve it? Which is also the same thing. Since love is always right behind every emotion, could you allow the love that's in the background to come into the foreground and wash that feeling away? And let's do that one more time. Focus on that same feeling or any other feeling that appears to be less than love. And could you just change that feeling into love? Just choose that. Could you choose love over that emotion? And just change it. could you allow yourself to see the love where that other emotion appears to be? See through the disguise. Okay, good. So how was that?
That was really helpful. It was really helpful to hear you say that it's not the mind that does it, so I can give that up right away.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it feels like it's just a decision
Yes.
made by no one,
Right.
which is really a cool feeling to be aware of that.
Yes.
So it isn't anything I have to do.
No,
It's nothing that's done.
no.
Okay. I get it. Thank you.
No, one of the things you'll find this week is that the more we do this, the less effort there'll be.
I love that. That's great. I'm willing.
Lester used to say, by the way, I brought 2 pictures of Lester, and I may even bring an extra one, because Lester really liked love. And so he wanted to be more participatory this retreat. So I brought 2, and I might bring another one in and put it on the piano. So before I call on you, there's a question from home. No, I'm going to call on you. I know it's okay, but we'll still call on you. Yes, Annie.
I have a couple, actually.
Okay, cool.
Ready? So Sonia asks, how do you...
Just speak into the mic a little more.
Sonia asks, how do you move beyond the possessive kind of love in a relationship, for example, with a partner or child?
Mm-hmm. Well, the part of where we get stuck in life is that we make things black or white. And so when you don't actually need to move beyond your possessiveness, what you do is you love that. Again, a lot of us think that we have to be in opposition to the parts of our persona or the things in our life that we think are not in alignment with truth. And the more you oppose it, the more you energize it, the more you make it real, the more it fights back. So if you find that you're more in attachment, for instance, in a relationship, than you are in non-attachment and just love and caring and support, rather than fight with that, love it. If you love any problem, it will not persist. Because we don't usually do that. We hate our problems. And we hate ourselves from having them. We usually do this. And, uh-oh. Oh, there we go. And when we do that, what happens is it just reinforces the problem. So don't worry about getting beyond possessiveness. Don't worry about the fact that with your husband or your wife or your lover, you still have certain patterns that are codependent or needy, or you don't want to approve of them unless they approve of you first, or whatever it is. That doesn't have to change all at once. By becoming more aware of the love that you are, that in and of itself will start to change things. So the way to get through it is to allow it to be the way it is. And just do all the work that we'll be doing this week. And you'll find that not just that specific thing will change. Many other things that you didn't even realize were holding you back will just fall away. So you don't have to try to fix that. You've probably already been trying to fix it. And when you try to fix something, it usually fixes you. What was the other one, Annie?
From Gregor in New Zealand, and he would like to send his greetings to you all,
Good.
to you and everyone here. He's having some resistance, not knowing how to relate to people as love. He's scared that the other will not want to relate with love.
Okay.
And he has another comment. Lester saved his life by squaring all with love. Is
Yes.
this the foundation of the Sedona method? And if so, do we need the other ways of releasing?
I'll start with that one. So the story we hear of Lester is just one of the many versions that I heard when I knew Lester. I don't really know what the whole story is, honestly, because one of the things, Lester was a salesman for freedom. So he would change the story depending on the audience. I do know they did that particular technique of squaring all with love as part of his process, and I do know that he let go of wanting to change things, but there were a lot of other things that happened as well. A lot of it was spontaneous. A lot of it just happened all by itself. So the reason that there are more than one technique that makes up the body of knowledge we call the Sedona method is that if you have just a few tools, what the mind tends to do is find a way to sabotage them. I remember I used to get in trouble. Very early on, I took the basic program right after Annie in November of 1976. And then in January of 1976, I took the advanced program, and then in February I took the teacher's program. And then I started leading workshops in my living room in a fourth floor walk-up on West 89th Street in Manhattan. And I immediately started getting into trouble because what happened was I didn't stick with the form. Back when I first learned the method, there was only letting go, and there wasn't welcoming, there wasn't diving in, there wasn't holistic releasing, there wasn't the fifth way, and there wasn't all the derivations thereof. But one of the things I noticed is that when I tried to release with people, if I kept asking the same question over and over again, it wasn't long before people's minds started finding ways to sabotage them. So what happened is I discovered that if I switched it up a little, they had an easier time. And I noticed that with myself too, that if I kept changing it at least a little, it worked better. And that's why the method is as full as it is now. It's not just squaring all with love. And what I recommend you do, all of you watching from home and all of you participating here, is use the tool that's working in the moment. And if it stops working in this moment, that doesn't mean you're wrong or you're bad or the tool's not good or it's a total waste of time or all the other things your mind will tell you to try to get you to stop releasing. All the things you've already heard the mind say. Try a different tool in your toolkit. By switching it up, it helps you stay focused and moving forward. And what was the beginning part of the question?
Some concern as to how to relate to people as love.
Okay. I remember now, Annie. So, don't worry about how they're going to react. If you're worrying about how they're going to react, you're no longer relating to them as love anyway. You're wanting their approval. So let go of wanting their approval. And what you'll find, though, is, in my experience, The more you relate to people from unconditional acceptance, which is one of the ways that love relates, is through unconditional acceptance. That's all people really want. And they want you to just show up and be there and not try to fix or change or control them. And allow them to be the way they are. And I don't think you have to worry about people rebelling against that. Now, if you're trying to get them to be more loving, you will get pushback. So often I've seen in relationships over the past 40 years, including in my own, that when we have an insight or we learn something, we tend to try to impose it on our partner. We try to fix them with it. And if you're letting whoever it is you're relating to be the way they are, then however you are is fine too. So if you're concerned about how they're going to relate to you being loved, don't worry, be happy. Yes. Go ahead. Do you still have the microphone back there?
Yes. Well, it's been a while since I raised my hand, so the one thing I wanted to share was just the awareness of the layers. You know, when we were doing the release around love and the beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah, and each time you would ask the question, you know, yeah, there would be something else appearing, like something that was a feather, really, and then could be just lifted off until it revealed what was there.
Good.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say was how happy I am to be here.
It's nice you're here. Yeah.
And that the releases that you've put out over the last month, kind of leading up, there was a group of them about anxiety and some other things.
Oh, yes, the samples from the 365.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
that. Yeah. I think it's been really helpful
Oh, good.
to stay centered in the midst of everything that seems to be swirling around out in the world.
Yes.
So,
There's a little stuff going on.
yeah. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. The illusion has been busy of late. It's getting kind of active. So, by the way, how many people have been taking advantage of all the free stuff that we've been doing? Oh, good. A lot of you have. So, for those of you who don't know, we have... I've been getting more and more active on Facebook. And so I've been doing Facebook Lives where I just do releases that you can use for yourself or share with your friends. I've also been promoting some free releases that we're giving away. We promoted this evening, actually, on Facebook. And the post for this evening, I think... over 30,000 people saw the post. So I don't know how many people will actually show up. They'll probably tell me in a couple of days, but whoever shows up, shows up. But it's nice. We're starting to get a little more effective using Facebook as a way to share this. And I'm happy about that because the world really is accelerating. And not all the curves are looking pretty. So it's nice to be able to not just talk about the method, but actually give pieces out to as many people who are interested in it. And anything that I share in Facebook is something you can share with everyone. It's purposely designed so that you can share it with your family, your friends, your relatives. Even those of you watching at home, the video that we're doing tonight, the free video, is going to be up for 24 hours. So if you have friends you think might want to watch it, tell them about it. Have them watch it. Yeah, the whole 2.5 hours is being streamed live, but then the recording is up for 24 hours. So have them go to that page. It's Sedona method Sedona / free-sunday.com, not .com. It's sedona.com / free-sunday. But anyway, so that will be live for 24 hours. So if everyone here at the room too, if you have people that you haven't shared it with, you can. I want to make this available to as many people as possible. And it's also a great way for people who are thinking about doing the course to see if it looks like a fun thing to participate in. So generally when we do this, more people decide to spend the whole week here. So here from home. So who else has something they'd like to ask, share, or get assistance with? By the way, I'll definitely talk about stuff this week, but what I find is the more you participate, the more you get out of the course, but also the richer the course is. If you just sit back and just expect this to be a lecture, that's not how I roll. So the more you are willing to ask questions or share things or get assistance. And by the way, throughout the week, and this is true even when we're not streaming it or there's not an audience, you don't have to share anything of a personal nature. You can just simply say, hey, I'd like a release on, or how can we work on this? You don't have to share anything that you feel uncomfortable sharing in this room. That's always the case in all our Sedona Method courses, is that it works at a much more basic level than our personal story. And because of that, you don't need to share a personal story in order to get benefit from this. And of course, it's a safe space, so you can share anything you want, but you don't have to. So anyone else have something they'd like to? Yes. Can you pass the microphone up? By the way, this is not one of these seminars where we have mic runners. You're all the mic runners. So just if someone raises their hand, just pass the microphone to them. And by the way, before I forget, can I have that microphone for a second? I just want to do a microphone training. It's very complex. What you do when you talk into the microphone is you don't hold it here, you don't hold it here, you don't hold it down here, you don't hold it back here. You hold it like this. And you hold it close enough so you could actually lick the microphone. So closer than a lot of people want to have it out here, but get it close enough so you actually could lick it. Now don't lick it, but but hold it close enough so you could. That way people can hear you.
Does this work?
Yes.
Does this work? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, one other thing. We're managing the microphones from back there, so if you start talking, they'll turn the microphone up.
okay.
Great.
So I'm noticing I'm having a really difficult time over here with, in the moment in Florida right now, they're experiencing the worst part of this hurricane.
Yes.
And I have a lot of attachments there, personal and...
Yeah, my mom is in Boynton Beach.
Yeah, so I'm finding like in and out, like the release is good, but then it sort of crops back up.
Sure.
So I'm wondering if there's something more.
Oh, sure. So when you are afraid for someone else, what are you picturing?
I'm just picturing just suffering,
Yes.
total suffering.
Yes. And is that something you really want to picture for them?
No. Yeah.
N-
Yeah.
Right. So this is a misconception. A lot of people think if they don't worry about the people they care about, that they're being uncaring. But like with my mom, I'll give you an example. She's in Florida. And originally the hurricane was supposed to go up the east, she's on the east coast of Florida. It was supposed to go up the east coast of Florida. So I took I made sure there was someone with her. I made sure she had food. I did all the things I could do, long distance. And then what I did is I let go. And then to the point where I felt absolutely certain that she was fine. And so you take appropriate action. Now, is there actually anything you can do right now to help them?
No, it's more like an energy, like,
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I'm just checking.
no, there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so anyone at home or anyone here who has someone in harm's way at the moment, this is not just for right now, but this is in general. Do whatever you can, but then instead of worrying about them, let go of the worry and picture them being fine. We did 2 support calls on Thursday, and I did another release on the world where I had you picture what it is, the positive outcome, and then I had you love or welcome it. So why don't we do that release too? And again, you don't have to, those of you watching at home and those of you here, you don't have to do it on Florida, because not everyone in this room has friends or relatives in Florida. And I said it like I lived in Florida just now. Florida. But this is a way of releasing that when you release this way, it's very helpful, not just for you, but for the other people. So I'll do that release now. Okay? And you can just put the microphone over there. So, for the sake of this exercise, just picture or think of something in the world or in your body-mind that you'd like to change. It could be the current situation in Florida, the earthquakes in Mexico, the forest fires, Kim Jong-un. A politician, anyone. Or your husband, your wife, your children, your employer, your employees. Something going on in your body. Some recurring thought or feeling. Some relationship. Or something going on with your bank account or your job. It doesn't matter what it is. But focus on something about the body-mind world that you'd like to change. And just for now, as best you can, could you let go of wanting to change it? Could you let go of wanting to control it? And if you're hesitant to let go of wanting to change or control it, I'm not saying don't take appropriate action. I'm saying when you're wanting to change or control something, you're actually holding in mind what you don't want. So when you let go of wanting to change or control it, If there's an action required, you'll take it. But if there isn't an action required, you'll know that too. And it helps open you up inside. It helps you become part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. And then as best you can, just for now, could you allow it to be the way it is? Now again, that may be a stretch. If it isn't the way you'd like it, we tend to resist it. But when we allow what is to be the way it is, then we're empowered. Then again, we're part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. And could you go even more extreme? Could you love it as it is? Now, that seems ridiculous, I'm sure. For instance, to love a hurricane, or love a forest fire, or love an earthquake. But it is as it is. And if you can love it as it is, you're applying the universal solvent. You're connecting with the source. You're holding in mind the positive. So as best you can, just for now, could you not just allow it to be the way it is? Could you love it as it is? And then could you allow yourself to picture the way you'd like it to be? What does it look like? How does it feel? What does it sound like? And could you allow yourself to welcome or accept or love that? Love that positive picture. Lester used to say, hold in mind what you want, and that is all you will get. The more you let go, the more creative your thoughts are, in a very positive way. And then, as best you can, just for now, could you even let that go? And could you turn it over to the power that is the way? Could you turn it over to love? Could you turn it over to beingness? Could you turn it over to God or Goddess? And could you allow yourself to focus on that same thing or anything else about the body-mind world that you'd like to change or control? And could you welcome that wanting to change or control it? And then could you let go of wanting to change or control it? Could you just set that free? And then could you just simply allow it to be the way it is? Could you even love it as it is, as best you can? And then could you allow yourself to picture the way you'd like it to be? How you'd like it to see it, to feel it, to hear it, to know it. See it as already done. And then could you allow yourself to welcome or allow or love that as best you can? And then could you allow yourself to turn it over to the power that is the way? Okay, good. Is that helpful? Good. Do you feel, you want to grab the mic? Yes, right there.
Thank you.
Do you feel more settled?
Yes.
Good. Now, when you think about the situation, doesn't it feel less of a problem?
Yes.
Yes. So isn't that more of what you'd like to be picturing for them?
Yes. Yes.
And again, if there's, in any situation, if there's something you can do about it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't always something you can do about it, especially a long distance like this. And so when we allow ourselves to change the way we're holding it internally, it helps support a positive outcome. And it helps us free ourselves from getting lost in the drama.
Well, and I like what you said about, that more creative solutions can come up from that place.
Yes.
I think feels good. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and again, just using this as an example, at first we weren't sure whether or not to have my mother go to a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And what we realized is it's where she was, and she's 90. So just the experience of going to a hotel probably would have been traumatic, even though she was going with an aide. So my brother and my brother doesn't do the Sedona method. In his own way he does. I just let go, and I felt into it. I went, I don't think she should do that. I think she should just stay home, shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
And we just made sure she had everything she needed.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did is just get myself out of the way and take whatever actions I could take. And then since then, I've known she's fine. And I spoke to her today, and she's fine. And actually, my mom's great. She's I've talked about her in the audio program. She's she took the Sedona method in 1977. And she's always been a foxhole releaser. When things get really bad, she releases. And at 90, I don't think she remembers to release that often anymore. But what's interesting is even with the hurricane coming, she wasn't really that concerned about it. She's, meh. It was like, well, whatever happens, happens. I think both me and my brother had more to release on than she did. So, and so as you let go, it really does help you become part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. You're welcome. Thank you. So who else? Yes, right there. You can just put it there.
I think I just wanted to share gains, that's all.
Sure.
Yeah, for maybe anybody who's even thinking about this to recommend it.
Sure.
In all fairness, I've been doing it a while, I guess, but
That's fair that you're doing it well.
well, not a while, not as long as you, but longer than somebody who's just
James,
starting.
can you get her hat?
It's an advertisement.
I know, it's very cute.
You got to see the T-shirt I have in a couple of days. It'll really.
Okay,
really
great.
bring it
Yeah,
up.
she often prepares, she has a wardrobe that goes with the retreat.
So there's been a lot of drama, in this body, mind, life in the last few months.
Yes.
With my dad dying in April, and then 2 weeks ago, my 18-year-old cat died.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like my kid to me,
Yes.
It's like losing a child.
Sure.
There's been, stuff like that, but because I've had these tools, like especially when I'm just so blown away at how well I've been doing, all things considering,
Yes.
I always, I think how I imagined things to be was worse than once they actually died.
Yes.
That was actually always worse, the waiting for it. But yeah, it's been amazing, and it's like speed releasing.
Yes.
I mean, it just kind of happened spontaneously, especially more and more faster and faster and faster
Yes.
lately. There's more I realize there's no one to release anything and nothing to release. It's
Right.
like, well, the challenges are like, try to nail a peg into the sky.
Right.
There's nowhere for that
Yes.
peg to land.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the thought that there's a personal me never comes up or whatever, but even the quick recognition, oh yeah.
That's great.
It's been fantastic. So, it's all. I just wanted to share that.
Thanks.
It's been marvelous, and I have a lot of gratitude towards you, or this apparent you. And
Well, I didn't do any of that. That was all you.
gosh, so yeah, and the apparent me too.
Yes.
Whatever happened, that I know I didn't do any of it.
Good.
Just a lot of gratitude's coming up. So
Great. Wonderful.
I thought I'd share that. So
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Annie, and you can be next. You want to grab the mic?
Linda has never felt or given truly unconditional love. She's had some very bad associations with love, beginning with parent-child relationship.
Sure.
So she's struggling with keeping body-mind love separate from pure love.
Uh-huh.
How to do that?
Yes, don't. It's similar to the other question that we got from, I don't remember the person's name, but from home, Sonia, yes. Everyone has baggage about love. Just hearing the word, there's so many stories we have attached to it. And trying to keep the stories all sorted out and not let one bleed into the other is a waste of time. What you'll find is that as we do the work this week, the things that, what happens, it's kind of like this. I don't know if you can see this from there, but there's a metal plate here on the stage. And when something happens in our life that we don't like, it becomes, we tend to fixate on that situation, that event, that experience. And so instead of moving on, what we do is, because we're fixated on it, we get attached to it, or we build a whole compensation around it. Our life then becomes this. This is what moving forward then looks like. We stay stuck without realizing it. And it's like, you know the game Twister, where you have most of us are in such a knot inside with all the things that we're trying to juggle and hold on to. And you don't have to try to make that fit. You just move beyond it. You let it go. And so don't worry about the fact that you have baggage about love. You and 7.6 billion other people, or whatever the number is now, it used to be 6 billion when I first started talking about it, or less than that, have issues around love. That's why we actually could spend not just the 6 days that we're going to spend together, we could actually spend a month together and still be going through layers about it. So you don't have to worry about it. Everything we do this week will address that. And so, and you don't have to try to reconcile any of that now. Because what will happen is all the baggage you're carrying around, it's actually more like this. Things happen in our life that we don't like, so we carry them around. And it gets to be a heavy burden to go through life like this until you recognize that you can just put it down and let it go. So, don't worry.
She says thank you. And you might like to say something about this. Someone, when you do a release, when they start to release, it seems that their thoughts become unfocused and nebulous, difficult to focus. Is it an avoidance technique?
No, it's fine. One of the things is, when you do releases, the mind stops. And so you could be mid-release and forget even what you've been releasing about. So don't worry about it. When every release we do, even if it appears to be focused on a particular topic, if your mind wanders or your mind goes blank or your mind does its own thing, just keep coming back to the process and don't worry about it. That's completely natural. It's one of the things that happens, and it's not something to be struggled against or with. Just allow it to unfold. So it's totally fine. Anything else from home, Annie?
Yes, in anticipation of this event, somebody had an experience or feeling of universal love that came to her in a dream last night. Mm-hmm. She's wondering how to maintain that.
Don't. I seem to be a broken record. When we try the same thing, you see that we're back to this. when you have a positive experience, it can be just as much as of a stuckness as a negative experience. If you're trying to get back to a state that you've experienced in the past, you're forgetting that when you have those glimpses of the truth of who you are, when you actually see beyond the illusion, when you feel universal love, when you feel the peace and the stillness that's beyond the drama of the mind, what happens is the sense of limitation has dropped away and you're just fully there in this moment. And if you're trying to get back to that, you're moving away from what's here now. So don't worry about holding on to anything. Everyone this week is going to have lots of positive experiences. And there'll be other less than, there may be some experiences that you don't like too. But with all experience, it has a beginning, middle, and end. And so trying to hold on to the positive can be just as limiting as holding on to the things that you don't like. So let it all go. Let yourself just be present with what is present in this moment. The other reason we want to go back to our positive experiences is we think there's a scarcity of them. And we go, oh, that was so nice, if only I could experience that. Well, instead of going back to that, allow yourself to notice what's here now. So, and there's a way you can use the experience, though, in a positive way. And it's very simple. What you do is, if you find yourself thinking longingly for some past experience, what you do is you allow yourself to think of the experience and feel the experience as a memory. And then you look inside yourself and you notice what's right inside of you right here, right now. That's the same. Because any transcendent experience is more than just an experience. It's a glimpse of the truth of who you are. And that truth of who you are is always right here, right now. So you don't have to go back to then. Check to see what's right here, right now, that resonates with that, that is similar to that, that opens to that. And you'll find yourself having an even better experience in this moment. So I'm not saying deny the positive experiences you had in the past. Just don't try to hold on to them or recreate them. Just go deeper. So who else? Yes. Where's... Oh, you had your hand up. She's next, then you. Go ahead.
So first I have a gain and then
Yeah.
just a request.
Sure.
The past few months I have been working on choosing or deciding love when other people appear unlovable. And have had lots of opportunities.
It's called life.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you for pointing that out time and time again about that flip side of the approval program. And I've really been seeing through on my little golden circle on how much I had been withholding love
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted people to be different
Than the way they are, yeah.
than the way they are. And since just tuning into that and just deciding and really seeing it just as that decision to be love, the relationships have actually become more intimate. And
Yes.
An example of that was, I used to have this belief of how I should or needed to show up for my family members if I was to be loving. Like, oh, they have this problem, I need to impose my help. Well, now I can see it that way. And of course, there was always that push-pull. They didn't
Yes.
really want my help.
No.
I can see that now. But, I had other, it was dramatic because other family members were saying, you should do this, and I had to deal with my own feelings about it. And my sister-in-law just went through a really intense surgery, and I went through that wanting to love in a particular way, and then realizing that's not what she wanted. And I actually stopped and said, well, what do you want? And as a result of that conversation, she felt really seen, and as a result of that, I didn't need to be there, so I could come here. I came here instead. So I think it's all working out really well, and her, just the level of true, I guess, intimacy as a result of just asking, what do you really want? And loving no matter what the answer was.
Yes,
Yeah, that was,
that's great.
yeah. To do that with family is just, I'm working through the family members.
Yes.
And,
By the way, that's another thing we'll explore this week, is another definition that Wester had of love is wanting for them whatever it is they want for themselves. What you were talking about before, what we generally do with friends and family is we want for them what we want for them, not what they want. Doesn't matter. We don't even think to ask. Yeah. What do you want? Who cares? What you need is. So it's a great insight.
yeah, so that's been wonderful. And then now I'm, just as I've been going through these layers and layers, around my own body. And I suppose what you just said, I can, as I'm asking my own body, well, what is it that you want, or what's happening? I don't always like what's coming, what appears to be coming back.
Yes.
And now I guess I've reached that certain age where, boy, I am so not in control. And there are moments when I have a really hard time loving this body. But it's clearly pointing in a direction. So
Yes.
I'm wondering if you could I'd love some assistance on, again, loving this body as it's doing what it's doing.
Sure. Okay.
Particularly around aging and functions changing and things sagging and lines forming and temperatures changing.
Right.
Sometimes it's challenging to love it.
Yes. Okay, good. We'll do a release on that. And by the way, one of the assignments for this week is to stand in front of a mirror and just pick different parts of your body and just keep letting go until you can love them as they are. Now start with clothes on. But at some point, graduate to clothes off. That's really the stretch, to be able to look at your body with no clothes on and love it exactly as it is. And you can do that. But anyway, I'll do a release on the body. So in this moment, could you just simply be what you are? And be what you are. And be what you are. And then allow yourself to picture or pick something about your body that you'd be willing to love as it is. So start with something small, like one of your hairs, a toe, an ear, whatever it is. Could you just simply love that as it is, as best you can? And then allow yourself to focus on that same thing or anything else about your body that, at least for now, you'd be willing to love as it is. And then could you allow yourself to love it as it is, as best you can? And again, focus on that same thing or anything else about your body that you'd be willing to love as it is. And could you shine your love on that particular part of your body? We'll do a few more of these, but I just want to point out, this is not what we usually do. What we usually do is scan our body for what hurts, for what's sagging, for what should be thinner, taller, shorter, bigger, smaller, what needs pruning, fixing, changing, controlling. But your body is just like you. It isn't you, but it's like you, and that all it really wants is love and acceptance. And if you love and accept your body as it is, it becomes more cooperative. It gets happier. It's easier to inhabit, even though it's just a projection. And this is a fun thing you can do at any time, to just simply find things about your body or your mind or the world that you'd be willing to love as it is. It's not cheating. It's just very helpful. So again, focus on that same thing or anything else about your body that you'd be willing to love. And then could you allow yourself to love that as best you can? And again, focus on that same thing or anything else about your body that you'd be willing to love as it is. And could you love it as it is, as best you can? And could you do that even more? Could you just love your body as it is? Now, you don't have to focus on anything specific. As best you can, just for now. Could you just take a moment and love your body as it is? Even just a little goes a long way. And could you love your body even more, just as it is, not so it will change, not so it can be fixed. Could you just simply love your body as it is? And could you love your body even more? And could you love your body more still? And could you love the body even more? And more. And more. And then check to see if you can actually find where love ends and the body begins. Or where the body ends and love begins. Is there actually a boundary? Okay, good. How was that, Kim?
Yeah, thank you. I just started going through lots of different layers of different feelings,
Uh-huh.
and so it's moving. I think ultimately, it still feels like there's a little more.
Oh, sure.
Around,
Well, this is just the first night.
yeah, I know. So it's just like the plane took off. I think I got in touch with. I didn't realize it. But I realized I uncovered some anger, I guess, because I really like I do like experiencing, but I'm also getting tired of experiencing.
Yes.
And so it feels like the only way out is love now.
Good.
It's like, yeah, it's the only way.
Good.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I just want to share my story. My name is Edgardo, I'm from Mexico.
Yes.
And 8 years ago, I was in a really dark place. My father had a liver transplant and then he had a series of heart attacks. And we were just starting a new family. And every mean that we had for money was directly given to my father because he could not work.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in a really dark place. And I went to a psychiatrist, and he tried to help me out, but it was not helpful. And then a cousin of mine came to say, "Hey, here's a DVD. It's called the Sedona method. Hear this out, and it's going to help you out." And I was in a really, really dark place. And obviously I get it. So obviously I'm not gonna listen to this. I don't know what this is. I will never listen to this. And then I was completely desperate, and this was 9 years ago. And I started listening, thankfully to you, and I started listening, and I remember the power of now, and how to release, and how things that you cannot control, and things that can really change your mind. And I just can say that really, it flipped my life 180 degrees, only by listening to what you have to hear. And I promised to myself, someday I will have the means to go to Sedona and be live. So that's why we're here, and I really want to thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Hey, say welcome in Spanish.
Bienvenido.
Say it again.
Bienvenido.
Bienvenido. That was close. That wasn't exactly
That was
right. Welcome. I'll stick with English. Great, thank you. So let me do some logistics. So the sessions will run every day. We'll start at 10, so plan to be here a little early. If you're watching from home, whenever we take a break, there'll be the time we're going to start again will appear on the screen, so you'll know. By the way, those of you here who are attending live here, you get the recordings too. And one of the things I'll be doing is we do partnerships throughout the week where you work with other people in the room. But whenever you're working on a partnership, I'll be everyone's at home's releasing partner. And that's being recorded. So you'll be able to listen to that. You'll have two partners for every exercise. One you'll have in the room, and then you'll have me as your partner when you go home, so you can do the exercise over and over again with me as your partner. And so it's great for the people at home, but it's great for you too that we do that. When we do regular retreats, I just get to rest while you're doing partnerships. But I don't get to rest when we're doing the recordings. And I actually really enjoy it. It's kind of fun to release with everybody at home. So we'll start at 10. We will have breaks. We didn't take a break tonight, and I probably should have. A lot of you are starting to sit here like that, or have not left the room because you thought you might miss something. And you won't have to worry about that. Starting tomorrow, there'll be a break in the morning session for about 15 minutes, and there'll be a break in the afternoon session. We're going to take 2 hours for lunch. Lunch will start approximately at 1 o'clock, give or take half an hour. And then tomorrow night and Wednesday night, there'll be workshops for people who are attending live. And then Tuesday night and Thursday night, I'll be doing a phone workshop for the people who are attending from home. And that's being recorded too, so that will be available to everyone. Now, those of you who are here are welcome to come to the phone workshops too. But what I'll do at those is I'll prioritize people who are releasing from home, and I'll call on them first. If we have time after that, I'll work with you. But of course, one of the things you'll notice is that when we do retreats, that everyone who releases is sharing things and releasing things that will benefit you. So even if you're not asking, how many people here have come to some of the support calls the free support calls that we do? A lot of you have. A lot of you probably have never gotten to work with me in a support call, even if you've raised your hand, because generally whenever I call, is there anyone who has something they'd like to ask, share, or get assistance with on support call? There's 20 or 30 or 40 people who want to participate, and I get to call on 5 or 6, maybe 8. So, but people keep listening to the support call because there's still benefit in it, even if you're not the one working. So that's true here too. You'll find that there's benefit in just listening as other people are releasing. Especially since often what I'll do is I'll do a group release and respond to what someone needs or wants. Let's see. And there's a few assignments. The first assignment is obey the laws of the United States, or if you're watching from another country, whatever country you're in. And the other thing is I recommend, and that's really basically the only rule. Follow the laws you're supposed to be following anyway. So, and some of the things that I recommend to get the most out of the retreat, one is this week, refrain from using recreational drugs and alcohol. Anything that's mood altering. If you're on a prescription, even if it is mood altering, please continue taking your prescription meds. You don't have to discontinue them to get benefit from the course. In fact, I wouldn't recommend you change anything about any treatment regimen based on anything we do here. You need to consult with your medical practitioner to make those kind of changes. So I recommend you refrain from drugs and alcohol this week. I also recommend that you fast from television and digital media. Now, I know you're going to want to keep track of what's going on in Florida. So just don't get lost in it. I'm not saying, it's not black or white. These are just things that will help you get more out of the training. And again, this also applies to those of you who are participating from home. You'll get more out of it if you follow the rules or the guidelines that I'm suggesting, even if you're not here. You actually have the added benefit of being able to participate in life while doing this course. And so there'll be things that will happen in life that will be good for releasing. Things will happen here too that are good for releasing, but when you're home, it's kind of more in your face. So there's actually it's not, assume that everything that happens at home is part of the course. And just treat it like that. You'll get more out of the course if you do. The other thing I recommend you do is this week, as much as possible, allow yourself to be kind to yourself. Most of us are good at beating the crap out of ourselves and don't really do enough to just be kind to ourselves. And I don't mean just your ultimate self. I mean your body-mind. Be nice to it this week. If it wants to go for a walk, take it for a walk. If it wants to go shopping, take it shopping. If it wants to have some chocolate, have chocolate. Just really be sweet with yourself. It's a good habit to get into. Most of us are so busy trying to discipline ourselves and control ourselves and force ourselves that we're at war with ourselves. This is push-pull going on all the time. So love yourself this week. And another thing that you'll find helpful is practice kindness not just with yourself, but with others. Be kind to the people that you relate to at home, but also be kind to the people you relate to here. Everyone else in the room, but the waiters when you go out to meals, the people, the hotel staff, other people who are going to be driving when you drive around Sedona. The Dalai Lama talks about practicing loving kindness, and that is a way to uncover and live the love that you are. It's very powerful. I read something, my wife Amy showed me something in Nisargadatta today. It's a book that later in the week I'll give you a reading list of some of the books that I really like, but one of the books that I like is I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. And it's a book that I still really value, and I started reading that. First time I read it was 92 or 3 is the first time I read it. So it was a long time ago. And actually a funny story about that book is Lester, when I first learned the Sedona method, Lester turned me on to Ramana Maharshi, and I'll talk more about him later in the week. But I turned Lester on to Nisargadatta Maharaj, and as Lester was dying towards the end of his life, he liked me to read to him from I Am That. That was his bedtime reading. So I would read him passages from I Am That from Nisargadatta Maharaj. But at any rate, I was, Amy, my wife, pointed out something to me in the book, and it was about Nisargadatta talked about that when you move in the direction of loving and supporting others, that helps you too. And you've probably heard that from many different sources. But I was surprised to read that in Nisargadatta, because Nisargadatta is very focused on non-duality usually. But it was just happened to be something about love that he was talking about. He said, develop love for other people and do things to support other people. And I was happy to see that, because that's one of the assignments this week. So that's one of the things to work on this week. I'll give you other assignments, but I think that's enough to get started with. I'll make suggestions throughout the whole week of things that you can do to tap the power of love and to bring love into your living experience in every moment. But those two are enough for tonight. By the way, does anyone need a ride? Is everyone set? Yes. Where are you going?
Sedona Motel.
Where? Which one?
Sedona Motel. I can do that.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else need a ride? No? Okay. So I just want to say in closing for tonight that this is a great start. This is just a start. Every day we're going to be covering different aspects, looking at love from different aspects, and we'll be letting go of all the barriers that are preventing us from just being love in life, and living love, and loving love, and enjoying love, and celebrating love, and letting love shine through every part of your body, your mind, and your world. And some of it is planned, although I don't stick to plans. Some of it's in the workbook. A lot of it isn't in the workbook. It will just happen spontaneously as we work through this material together. And those of you working from home, you're going to be full participants this week. I'll be listening to the cues I get from home from you just as much as I listen to the cues from everyone in this room. And everyone in this room is going to benefit from you being at home. It goes both ways, because one of the things that happens whenever we do a course, when a group of us come together and focus on truth, it magnifies the benefits for everyone. And Lester used to say, he used to use this quote, when two or more are gathered in his name or her name, depending on your point of view, it magnifies things. And Lester used to say, if there's two, it's 2 times 2. If it's 3, it's 3 times 3. And tonight it was probably at least 500 times 500, if not 1,000 times 1,000. So, and a lot of the things you don't even realize are changing as they're changing here. It's pretty amazing. What happens is you might even really not notice that much in the class, but when you get home at night or when you get home to wherever you live, you'll be amazed at how much is different. But the group at home, because they're participating with us from all over the world, is going to help magnify the effect, and they'll benefit from it as well. So I think that's enough for tonight. Thank you all very much. Remember, we're going to start at 10, so plan to be here a few minutes early. And thank you. That's all for tonight. Please take off your name tag. Stick the lanyard inside the name tag, and please leave it on the table before you leave. And when you come back in the morning, please come back to a different seat. Don't take the exact same seat that you had today. So, thank you. Good night.